Conway Historic District Commission. First, we'll do a roll call. I'm Steve Hurd, Chairman.
Emily Walter, Vice Chair.
Mary Ann Black. I guess I'm the secretary today.
Shane Lynn.
Commissioner.
Jenny Davis.
We have two absent right now, but they're normally coming in about another minute from now. But that's we'll deal with that. And we also have minutes from our March meeting that we need to dispense with. If anybody has, if everybody got to see them, they're all okay, we can deal with them.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes passed. All right. We have two items tonight, and the rules as far as dealing with the applicant at the podium there are the same. When you come up for your application, for the discussion of yours, we need your name and your physical address for the record, and then you tell us what you've got going on. We've got the agenda, we've got everything here, but let's hear what you're doing, and then we'll talk a little bit. I've got to also throw it back to anybody else here to speak for it or against it, and then we talk about it amongst ourselves. So fairly simple, but just name and address is the first thing, and I'll interrupt you if you forget. So with that, we have, and this one is a little, Jenny, just a minute. We have the first one, the 812 Davis and 1724 Robinson. It's a modification to some previous stuff, and there was even some clarification needed from our meeting, the motion we made to approve it, and things that were discussed but weren't part of that motion. It kind of got weird. So Beth will get us up to the same point for everybody
just
here.
to give a quick overview of why this is back before you. You'll see on pages 8 and 9 of the report, you have the actual certificates of appropriateness that were approved for 1724 Robinson and 812 Davis, and those were issued out of the December meeting. They include all of the conditions that were proposed to the commission and were approved as part of those reviews, with the only modification being reflected in there was the height of the fence in the east side of the front yard of 1724 Robinson to allow it to be 48 inches instead of 42 inches. I believe what the applicant is looking to do here is a modification to a couple of the items that were approved. One is the rear yard fencing of 812 Davis, which is also the side yard fencing of 1724 Robinson, which borders the parking lot. It was proposed by staff to be 6 foot of brick with 4 feet of brick, with the top 2 feet being the required 50% opacity comprised of ornamental metal. During the meeting, we went back and watched it. During the meeting, it was discussed to possibly allow the alternating brick courses to provide that. It was sort of discussed and implied, but the motion did not include the amended staff recommendations, so it was passed with the requirement for the metal to be the opaque or 50% opacity material. So that is part of this request. The other one is the applicant provided drawings for the accessory structure on 812 Davis that indicated the entire structure to be clad in a fiber cement siding, Hardie or LP Smart Side. Planning staff in their review provided review comments back to the applicant, who at the time was the contractor, that was not appropriate or required a revision to that. That sort of didn't happen. Staff provided a recommendation for the accessory structure to be of brick, or I believe mostly of brick, and that condition was not amended as part of the motion. So it was adopted as proposed. So those are the two things that I believe the applicant is seeking to have amended as part of these approvals. Everything else, as noted in your report, remains the same as approved previously. Does that kind of clarify everything?
That sounds great.
The only thing I do want to make note of is in the report that was originally emailed, I mistakenly picked up the wrong approved conditions with the fence height of 42 inches and later sent an addendum that it had been approved and it was the 48 inches, but neither one of those things are on tonight's agenda. So
Okay. Thank you. All right. Your turn now, Jenny.
Jenny McNulty, 1724 Robinson Avenue and 812 Davis Street. So as she did a wonderful job of explaining, same project as last time, just a couple of confusion points wanted to clear up. At the last meeting, as she said, I had a different contractor doing the storage building, and he's no longer my contractor for many reasons. One of them was he completely missed all of the information from planning, suggesting that it switched to brick. So during the conversation we had last time, there was some confusion. We talked about the carriage house, which is brick, and then we talked about the storage building, which the design showed as hardy siding or LP. And I thought we were on the same page with that being not brick, and then all of that. So what I'm asking for is that to change the recommendation from last time to be approved for the LP Smart siding on the storage building rather than the brick. So that was the first one. And then the second one is we did discuss during the meeting that back wall could have alternating bricks as long as there was some kind of transparency on the top 2 feet. So,
Right. I thought a good solution too. Okay. All right. Is anybody else here to speak in favor of the application?
got my front row.
Your
here.
little men there, I'd be happy to have them talk, but anybody here speak in opposition to the application? Again, just to clarify, this is really kind of clarifying something that slipped through the cracks, more or less, I mean, from last time, but, okay. All right, with that then, it's back to us as far as,
Sorry, I was distracted.
I
by
know,
my
watching the
children.
boys, I know.
Sorry. Did want to pay another babysitter.
You're fine.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to share the staff recommendation, and I will ask Beth to correct me if I get this wrong. Staff recommends approval of the requested modifications with conditions of approval as noted below. Modifications to previously approved conditions are denoted by strike-through and italicized text. 1, primary material for exterior facades of the accessory building should be composed of either brick or wood-like materials such as LP Smart Side lap siding, striking through masonry that is similar in style and color to that found on the primary structure. I say again that portion is being removed. 2,
No brick.
wood or wood-like materials such as hardy siding should be used for all fascias and soffits. 3, the new fence to the side yard and rear yard ornamental metal with or without brick piers not to exceed 6 feet in height is permissible. Alternatively, a solid brick wall not to exceed 4 feet in height and rear along east property line only is also allowable. An additional 2 feet of ornamental metal or alternative brick courses, adding alternative brick courses with at least 50% opacity may be added to the top of the total height not to exceed 6 feet. A new fence, number 4, a new fence in the front yard along the east property boundary to be constructed of ornamental metal only without brick piers and not to exceed 48 inches in height is permissible. 5, if additional landscaping is used as screening, the applicant shall provide a landscaping plan to planning staff prior to issuance of the certificate of appropriateness. 6, paving of new driveway is required. Allowable driveway width is 10 feet. 7, the location of this driveway is appropriate and must be paved with a sealed surface pavement. Parking shall be to the side or to the rear of the primary structure and should be screened with landscaping prominently visible from the public right-of-way. 8, all mechanical equipment shall be placed in a manner to minimize view of the right-of-way or adequately screened. 9, roof line to be changed to a single gable roof, no longer a hip roof. That was for 812 Davis Street approval, HDR 1122-0398.
Real quick,
Continuing.
sorry, on number 4, it says up there 42 inches. I know you said 48 inches. I just want to make sure.
That is correction. That's by addendum.
Okay,
So I will make that correction on the record.
perfect. Thank you.
On item number 4, the correction would be from 48 inches to 42 inches. Is that
42 to
correct?
48.
42 to 48, yes. For the 1724 Robinson Avenue, HDR 1122-0399, 1, allow a new fence in the rear and east side yard to be of ornamental metal with or without brick piers not to exceed 6 feet in height. Alternatively, allow a solid brick wall not to exceed 4 feet in height and rear along east property line only. An additional 2 feet of ornamental metal or or alternating brick courses, adding the words "or alternating brick courses" with at least 50% opacity may be added to the top of the total height not to exceed 6 feet. 2, side yard fencing allowed along Davis Street to be the same style and height as adjoining 812 Davis Street, front yard fencing not to exceed 48 inches. Allowed, approved materials are ornamental metal with or without brick piers. 3, allowed a new fence in the front yard along the east property boundary to be constructed of ornamental metal only without brick piers and not to exceed 48 inches in height. Landscaping to be used to provide additional screening if desired.
Okay. All right. Is everybody, we all
As
just,
the person trying to take minutes on this, on the recommendations as printed on page 6 in the handout, is that what should be reflected? Is that exactly what you have read?
That's
Except for the
exactly what I read.
48
That's correct.
versus 42, right?
48 versus 42.
Okay, yes, okay, perfect.
we're good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Anybody have any other comments or questions from Ms. McNulty?
I move that we accept the staff recommendations.
Second.
And that's how we should, no amendment, this is the,
That is correct because the amendments were already included
gotcha,
in this
just to make sure we don't have
recommendation.
another amendment issue
Yes.
later on. Okay. All right, we have a motion for approval of it as recommendations were read. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You said second, right? Okay, yeah. All right. With that, yes.
He's
Okay.
the contractor, sorry. The new contractor.
Yeah, well, come up here if you want. And we'll name and address, and then we'll go from there.
Greg Lasser. I live at 28 Lakeview Drive.
Okay.
Conway, Arkansas. Let's see. What is considered sealed surface pavement?
Like a bituminous,
Sir?
like a bituminous
Like
surface.
Asphalt?
Like asphalt or concrete or
Just not gravel.
not gravel.
Got it. All right. And number 9, was there first a hip roof and now we're going to a gable?
It is changed in those plans, so the latest plans is correct.
Okay.
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 Yes, because the first meeting, the architect asked to switch it and it has been switched, so the latest plans show a single gable.
So he's up to speed with the plans then, or should be.
Okay.
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 All
Thank
right,
you.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Okay. I'm glad we got it clarified. All right, next one we have is in the overlay district, I believe, isn't it? Where to go here? Pardon me. At 2024 Johnston Avenue, we have a new single-family residence. Someone here to speak for that?
How you doing? Jermaine Orr, 5130 Barnell Drive. Looking to get approval for new construction at 2024 Johnston Avenue.
Okay. Have you seen the recommendations?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
And I mean, that's fine, just that sometimes we've asked that and nobody's seen them, so just
Yeah.
making sure. Basically, you got any questions with that? We're kind of straightforward as far as,
Yeah, it's
As
pretty
far as we go.
straightforward. No comments on the recommendation. We'll comply with everything. I've seen some of the trees, but we will replace every one that seems to be removed.
okay, okay,
So
yeah. That's
no complaints there. Everything's
All
all
right.
in order.
And I think the only one that to me looked like you need to get back with, well, a couple of the percentage of windows on the front elevation,
Mhm.
which it looks like it's gonna be fine, but they're wanting a calculation on that. Just the 25 to 40% windows is what is required, and just square footage of windows and square footage of the front of the house, and the percentage of that is all they're asking. You can get with them with that at
Okay.
the time.
Yeah, I talked to Lauren and she told me I may have to add a window or two, but
Oh.
she said just they'll let
Yeah,
me know.
I mean, just visually, I don't, it looks pretty close. If it's not, I can't imagine, But doing the calculation will tell you real quick. I mean, but maybe a window, something that's a little bit larger than the other by a little bit, that worst case, instead of like adding a window. But that's something to do. We can still deal with this, with that being done later, correct? Okay. And the other one, I guess, was the driveway. I'm reading it right here in front of you too. Sorry. So it's on the screen right here. About material and before building permit, you've got to provide that information. That's simple stuff. I mean, it's not going to kill us from doing things tonight, but we have our, like you're saying, asphalt or concrete need to
concrete.
know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry I took over talking, but do you have anything else you want to say?
No, that was it.
Okay. Anybody here to speak in favor of the project? Anybody speaking in opposition to the project? Okay, let her.
Sir, if you'd like to sit at the table right behind you.
Just right there is good.
Reva Johnson, 2020 Johnston Avenue. I just have some questions and concerns. Number one, the tree removal. I didn't see anything in there about the tree in the back of the property on the proposal.
That was addressed in at least
I see the
concern.
one, there's two in front, and there's also a tree in the back, but there's nothing in the proposal about that tree.
Is that one going to be in the way of?
That one's close. That's the one where the contractors get out there. If we can say that we will keep the very one in the very back,
Mhm.
we can't, we will have to pull it down because of the depth.
Yeah.
So we have to come back on the setback.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, our goal is to try to maintain them too, if we can. We don't have nothing hard and fast. If a building's going to be built and we allow it, it can go. But
Okay. And when I called previously about this, I was told that that he had to be at least 8 feet from my property line, and now I'm being told it's 5 feet.
I don't know what's the side yard.
We have side yard setback.
So six is the code, just out of the book, but fire code won't let them go less than 5, which we can. In the historic district, both districts, we've been able to modify those a little bit because over time people have built on property line. It's all varied, so it's not like a subdivision getting built
Can
where
I
you have to be.
request 6?
If you look at the proposed site plan, he has an
8 foot setback. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. And the only other concern is I'm a sloping from that property, and when they go to excavate, that's going to disrupt the groundwater, and I may end up with that water on my property since I am sloped from that property.
There's requirements to keep from during construction, right?
for development requirements for a single-family residential, that would be outside of the scope of this proceeding, but they would generally speaking, they would be required to ensure that there would be adequate drainage, but typically those are, any drainage issues on a single-family residential would be a civil matter between property owners.
It's not, and not to dismiss it, but it's not something that we deal with,
you
where
decide.
we decide on. So it'd be through the city or with with property owners, between that, just figure out.
So after they build, if I get all their water, then I have to take it to court.
Well, I know you're not supposed to put water on a neighboring property. I mean, that's kind of
I
the goal.
understand that, but that's why I'm
I'm
here.
just saying, I don't, it's
I'm
not.
just trying to understand myself.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't know what.
Generally speaking, they would take the water to the street or to a drainage easement. I doubt
But
there's a drainage easement.
in order
down
to
there.
do that, they would either have to have a river drain or a French drain to be able to do that between the properties.
Have you had any plans? Sir, do you have any plans on drainage? Have you gotten that far?
They're doing the immediate plan for drainage, but I mean, if it's an issue, we will address all of it.
Yeah, I would. Sure. Again, I mean, just makes sense to get it away from everybody, from your house too. Everything. So I mean, I hope that can work. I mean, y'all, maybe as you get it figured out, maybe let her know what's going on, just so you know. Yeah. Yeah. And it's easier now when you're starting to build than later, you know, so.
Okay.
When,
All right,
when
thank
you're
you.
when you're less mad. No, when the water's coming, no, when
I'm
water's,
not mad, I just
no, no,
wanna
I mean,
understand.
when water's coming on your property, and it's not from your property.
Well, yeah, no, it's not
That could be a
special
problem.
that
So
happens,
it's
so.
an easy fix now, you know. So
Okay.
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 All right, well, thank you. Thank you much. Okay. Anybody else here to speak in opposition to the project? All right. With that said, we'll bring it back to us.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, he's going.
staff recommends approval of the request with the following conditions. One, windows shall be 1/1 if I can't say that. If mutton bars are used, they must be true divided lights. Overall height of the structure must be compatible to those found in the area, provide proposed height to staff. 25 to 40% of front elevation must contain windows. Driveway length, width, and material must be provided prior to issuance of certificate of appropriateness. Driveway shall be concrete pavers or permeable paving. Excuse me. 5, a 5-foot sidewalk with 6.5-foot green space is required. Sidewalk must link to any existing sidewalk. 6, care should be taken to preserve all significant trees on the property. Any canopy tree removed must be replaced by a canopy tree from the approved tree list.
The windows you get, 1/1 is fine. They're shown with a vertical mullion in them. That's unless they're true divided light, 2 pieces of glass with the wood in between. 1/1 is fine because that's pretty standard on houses of you know in the area. So it's a little cheaper too usually, but and then the height of the structure is dimensioned from whoever drew it can get a height to the peak.
Get a height, okay. I can
Yeah,
get
that's
that.
all. That's simple stuff. Otherwise, I think it's stuff we talked about. I think if you have any questions,
No question, that's it.
okay. Anybody have? Okay. With that,
I move that we accept the staff recommendation.
Second.
okay. I have a motion and a second for approval. Us accepting that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, sir. And
Thank
again,
you.
there's stuff you've got to coordinate with them, but it's standard stuff.
Standard stuff.
Okay. But
Okay.
they'll have COA could be ready tomorrow or so, but it may depend on a couple of answers from you before they do it. So I'd contact them and just see what you've got to get to them. And they'll have your COA when, you know, for permitting as soon as that stuff gets answered. But it's really just height and some calculation on the windows. Sounds like,
Window.
yeah.
Okay, I can get that, no
All right.
problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right. Do we have any other business to speak of?
Staff does not.
Staff does not. Anybody here? Then make another motion.
I move that we adjourn.
Thank you.
I second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded
Let's
Shane?
keep you on a roll.
Did we